hang that up right there. Okay, so to get started here, you want to focus on removing your hosing. And with that being said, on this model, someone's already been through this, went with the clamp style Phillip head. So we will actually be starting off with removing the airbox. And that is 246 10mm head on the screen that hold the plastic housing that will allow your airbox to lock onto here, the sliders. These are your best friends right here. Brushless, no sparks. It's perfect. That guy looking out. There we go. Okay, yeah, we found an extra bracket down here. Ready. Now, before you actually break your carbs off of your intake manifold and reed assembly down here, it's ideal to get your hosing off. These are your vacuum pulse lines here. You'll have 3 of them, 1 per carb, 1 per fuel pump. Right there, 1, 2. Then your third one, a little more uncomfortable, maybe a little harder to see, but it's actually right there. Right over here. See if you can see that movement. Hold on there. Okay, cool. Get that one out. Excellent. Now you have your accelerator cable. You may need 2 10s to do it. I mean, that's the proper thing to do. And in here, these guys. Once you get that guy off the bracket, just break it loose a little bit. You'll be able to unhang it. Come over to this side. See there? Pull the cable up and out of the slot. Basic cable driven setup. Here you got your other cable. Choke cable. There you go. And there you go. That is off. No more choke. Perfect. Now another important one a lot of people forget about here. You have, let me see if I can reach, this idle adjustment screw. It's hung. You gotta remove that guy carefully to not break. Just slides into a slider with a plastic bushing. That's this guy here. A lot of times you won't find this plastic bushing, but in this case it was there, and that's what locks it in. It slides right into place. Perfect. Now all we have left is our return lines, And our feeds, get those out of the way. Close your fuel valves, of course. If you have a functional fuel valve, ideally close it. And leave your lines hung up. You're normally on carburation. One nice rule I like to go by: the fitting closest to your block is normally your feed. The further one from the block, in this case, over here on the end of this carburetor setup, would be your return. So, learned that one when I was young. Normally, on these Japanese carburetions in the jet ski industry, we have the feed closer to the block. Kind of like to remember that. And it's more than okay to run zip ties, as you see on the setup here. Ideally, when you're doing this job, you want to put new lines, new fuel filters, clean your fuel tank, go through everything fuel related. Okay, now the carbs have been freed of all their exterior line work and cable work, therefore ready to unbolt. Mechanically unbolt from our manifold. You will find 2 studs per carburetor holding it to the plaque here on your intake manifold, right above your reeds.
So on today's episode, we're working on a hunker junker.
We don't mean that. That's just because he's jealous. Alright, so got the 6 studs off of the carburation, the main ones, 6 bolts, big long bolts here. Ideally, you want to remove them before these carbs come up, so you don't drop it under and go through a hard time. Frustrating job. Now, super important,